we're good. Like we're doing this. And then like we had a whole like, oh shit, we're actually doing this. Sarah, are you sure we're doing this? Like, so there was multiple moments of like highs and downs the entire day. But I think once we had made that 11:15 cutoff, we're like, okay, we actually can do this. We can finish this race.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 195 of the show. We've got a new show format for everyone this week that we're tentatively calling ÖTILLÖ Störies, wherein we share cool, interesting, inspiring, heartwarming,
all the above
stories from teams that raced the 2023 edition of ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship. First up is Team Monkey See, Monkey Run. Sarah and Viv are an American team that raced their first swim run only 12 months ago and found themselves with enough points to qualify for the big one.
Yes. In this conversation, we chat about how they took the news when they got in, how they trained from afar, one living in Colorado, one in New York, how they got ready for the big day, and of course, how the race went for them. It was a very inspiring conversation, and we're stoked to share it with you as usual.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
They're bubbly is the best way to describe these two, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think talk about going in with the right attitude.
Yeah.
Took it seriously. I dare say it was similar to the way we took it last year, which is like, hey, let's prepare like this is the real deal.
It is.
While we're there. It is
the real deal.
And while you're there, just try to have as much fun as possible, really enjoy the experience, and mission accomplished on that front.
Yeah, and then the real like heart and the swimrun community, you'll hear some stories throughout about how they came together to help them sort of persevere through some difficult times.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I mean, it's great.
Always good. It's
great. Yeah, we're stoked that ÖTILLÖ is endorsing this series, and they're super stoked that we're sharing this content. So yeah, ÖTILLÖ is coming to the U.S., so we'll have way more information on that in coming months.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, enjoy this conversation with Sarah and Viv.
Monkey See, Monkey Run.
Okay, well, very excited to welcome back to the show Sarah and Viv, team Monkey See, Monkey Run. Did I get it right this time?
You got it right.
I got it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fresh off your first ÖTILLÖ World Championship, even fresher off your 1-year swim run anniversary. Very excited to have this conversation. You guys did Worlds. This whole show is going to be about how you did Worlds, but I think we can't have that conversation without talking about your sort of amazing journey in the sport of swim run to get where you are now. So can you guys just kind of reflect back a little bit on, everything that kind of brought you to the World Championship?
Yeah, so
that was a lot. I'm sorry.
Chris really threw it to him there.
I'm sorry.
Points,
straight into it. I'm trying to go for like a podcast award on this one. So.
Please start your presentation of your slide deck now. Thank you.
Thank you, boys, for having us on again. So our swimrun adventure kind of started a couple of Januaries ago when somebody signed up for this crazy race. And we joined solo and teamed up just before it. We had no idea what we were getting into. And then it's wild. We raced our first race at Orcas Island just last year. And we had an absolute blast doing it together. Ended up getting first place in that race. Just super stoked on swimrun after our first one.
Chugged. It was
drank the Kool-Aid. Chugged the Kool-Aid.
Chug, you're doing keg stands on those swimrun Kool-Aid. Yeah. I mean, come on, let's be real.
It's totally worth it, though.
It's a lot of sugar, though.
It is, yeah.
And then after that, we were able to. We were able to do swimrun North Carolina, and then we did pretty well there. And through that, we were able to get enough points to go to the World Championship race this year. And so between getting started and now, it's been about a year, guys. It's been crazy.
It has been. And avid listeners of the Low Tide Boys will probably remember Sarah and Viv. They sound really familiar. Yes, all the way back in episode 162, we had them on. So if you want to hear the origin story before, I don't even know Have you guys did you two apply to
Well, I think we
ÖTILLÖ
did,
lottery at that
actually.
point back in thing? I don't
I
think
think we had
that
applied
had
and
entered
we're
the.
like, well, I
Okay.
think we were recording
Nice.
it. We're like, we'll find out like tomorrow and
Yeah.
we'll see if we get it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh, if it was in
Yeah.
February, that makes sense. Oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect timing.
exciting.
Swim Run
Swim Run
Christmas,
Christmas.
you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you two obviously have been a huge lift on the swim run community here in the United States. You know, every race you're at, you just bring your infectious energy and your great attitude to, which we are all fully behind and support, and everyone else. I haven't met any haters out there, so that's good. But talk us through when you got that email. Congratulations, you're qualified for ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship. What sort of text went back and forth? Holy shit,
That's exactly what
we gotta
happened.
get serious. What was going on?
Yeah, first reaction. Yeah,
what was
first
your
reaction
first
is,
reaction?
oh
It was
shit.
like-
Second reaction
Sarah was
is
like, it's not loading. We should be getting it now.
It
Like
was.
it was like it seemed like that entire day was like hours long, like way longer than it needs to be. We're like reloading our emails, reloading. We're like, okay, did you get it yet? No, did you get it yet? And I think Sarah got it first. Oh my god, yeah, no, literally, we were checking everything,
Check your
reloading probably
spam.
every
Check your
hour.
spam,
Everybody
yeah.
at work was like, Vivian, calm down. And I was like, okay, I cannot calm down. This is a very important day. And Sarah got it first, and she was like, holy shit! Like it was just all caps, just to me. And I was like, what is this? What's going on? She goes, check your email right now. Opened it, and we're like, actually, we're doing this. We got picked. We're okay.
I don't know why she couldn't just tell you. Like she's making you open your emails. Like just say, just tell
Exactly.
Didn't want to spoil it.
You got to see it for yourself.
No, I'm so excited.
you. Well, so obviously you kind of knew what's ahead of you. You've already been super stoked on swim run, so that requires, mandatory,
absolutely.
YouTube
Yep.
viewing of Rasmus's videos at like 1:37 a.m. local time, and sort of absorbing all that content. So I think, did you had a sense of the magnitude of the race, right? It's a big, one of the longest swim runs you can do, the original OG mystical, of mystical proportions,
Journey.
right? Like, how did you, once you got over sort of the excitement of it and got past like, oh shit, now we have to train for this thing. What did you guys, I know you started working with Envol, but what can you walk us through sort of that thought process? Is like, okay, now we need to get prepared
Yeah, it
for
was
this
actually
thing.
Sarah's
So
idea.
what are we going to do?
To start working with Nico and Envol, and she can kind of explain that part because that was all her, and it worked out for us.
Oh, hell yeah. You're in good hands.
Yeah, smart move.
Well, I think up to that race, even starting at Orcas Islands, we had just both kind of been training separately, just kind of doing whatever we wanted to do. At that time, I was mostly training for tree climbing as well. And so I knew that I didn't have like the proper training plan to get to Worlds. And just like knowing like Envol and just like Tristan, Amy, and everybody that had been training for it previously for Worlds, I'm like, this is the direction that we need to go. We need a little help to get here. We have very little swim run experience, but we are like just set on this goal to complete this race. And so just like knowing that we had the time, and then we had all that like stuff that we needed to get through like training. If we follow a plan, that we'll get there.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up question there. So, not to turn this into sponsored content for Envol coaching, but
The bill's in the mail. Coach Nico.
like how did that conversation go? Like you just reached out to, Nico's awesome, so I'm sure he was happy to jump on a Zoom call with you and sort of explain the process. But like how, I'm just curious, like how that conversation went. Like, what was he telling you? Like, was he telling you it was a bad idea, or like, yeah, no problem, we can get you ready? Like how'd that whole thing go?
So we got started with one of the already pre-planned ones for Lake James, and then we had both followed that, and we just realized that we needed a little bit more like fine-tuning to it, to our own separate schedules and our own separate like bodies and recovery and all of that good stuff.
Nico just hopped on a Zoom call with each of us, and then both of us, and I was like, all right, what do you guys have a background in? How many days can you swim? How many days can you run? and just kind of built it for us with us too, and a constant communication of like, okay, hey, I have work and life happens. Can I fit in this run and change this around, but still get that same aerobic, anaerobic result that is needed for the goal this week? So yeah, no, honestly, everything's been awesome. Still working with him and training for other races with him, not only swim run. So not sponsored at all, but should be. Nico's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
The plug is there.
Hey.
I'm really curious.
We
when you told
say
him
it all the time.
when you told him you had tree climbing practice, what did he say?
I think it took
He's
him a
like,
minute.
what? What? He's like, hold on, I need to reassess this commitment I've made.
It was after all of the tree climbing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Well, we'll get.
I'm sure.
I want to hear your take on the trees later when we get into the race. So table the tree stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
you're working with Envol. You're marching towards, and you all had a race calendar packed. You were making sure that you had enough reps in for the big one. So how we saw you, I guess at
Yeah.
I guess we didn't see
Yeah,
it.
Casco.
that was
Casco
sweet.
Bay, we
I
saw
think
you there.
We're just like, let's just
Mhm.
keep going. We knew we wanted to do orcas again. That was like a must. And then I really wanted to do Mackinac this past year because Mackinac was going to be on my birthday. But since we got into Worlds, we kind of just tabled that and swapped it out for Austin. So we ended up doing the 3 race pack for Odyssey, doing like, okay, for Casco, that's kind of like a mini Worlds, so to say. Like a lot of people, like even you guys were like, you guys should definitely do Casco if you guys are going to go and like getting into Worlds and all that stuff. So we thought about that, processed it. We're like, okay, well, we'll definitely do Casco. We got Orcas. Let's just, throw a third Odyssey race in there. And then like Lake James just kind of happened too. So yeah,
Can't
we
hurt.
packed it and continue to pack it with like other trail races, road races. And I think come late November, our bodies will be very happy to slow down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big year. I mean, training for something like the World Championship,
yeah.
it just takes a lot of time and a lot of wear and tear on your body. How was the training for it? It's almost like the race, it's almost easy compared to all the training that you need to do for the World Championship, right? Like how did you think like your build went? Is there anything we'll talk to about the race in a minute, but is there anything you think you wish you would have done better or differently in your training leading up to
Probably
Worlds?
more, at least for me, because I'm training in New York City, definitely more trail running and open water swimming. That was, I think, we did pretty well with the open water swimming at Worlds, but I definitely wish I had a little bit more than that. And the East River and the Hudson, Nargis, she is part of Dark Wave. She did a whole, she went around the whole thing, and I was like,
she went around the whole
you.
thing.
I don't think I'll ever swim in that water.
Lord.
So yes, in Harlem. Mm-hmm.
She said she swam by a dead body. Yeah, love
Yeah,
I mean, it
she said
wasn't
it was
like,
there, like,
she didn't bump
long
into it. She
before
said they were
her,
extracting the
like,
body
towards the end,
during her
yeah.
swim.
So, but yes, no, tons of not a lot
Yeah.
of good open water swimming or trails. How to find the bridges. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. And what about you, Sarah? Like, is there anything sort of, I mean, you're based in Colorado, so trails not a problem. Open water, maybe a little bit more challenging, but did you, anything, do you think that you wish you would have done more? I mean, for us, it was definitely, we wish we would have just like trained more like ultra runners after we did it the first year. Like, I'm curious what you think, like in hindsight, like what you would have done differently.
I think differently. I would have tried to get in more like swim run type workouts. There is one spot that's close to me, which is still about a 35-minute drive for open water swimming. And it's pretty flat. There's not a whole lot of options for like swim run around there. And it was cut a little short this year. There was some blue-green algae in there, and then some E. coli at some point. I kind of just cut it short for swimming. So I wish that I would have had a little bit more lakes would have been good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, you got dead bodies in New York and E. coli and blue algae in Colorado, so
World's going to shit.
it's climate change is real. you guys clearly made do, and we saw. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you're in the Low Tide Boys Strava
Definitely
Club.
join.
There's
I will
another
give
plug
you
for you,
kudos.
everybody.
I literally
And
go through randomly and give
they're-
kudos to everybody. Sarah knows my addiction to kudos.
love, love it.
I confirm.
You all put the work in, and you, I mean, and the thing about swim run is you got to make do with the situation and the obstacles that present themselves, and whether that be during the actual race or during your training where you were in two different locations and making do, you found yourself on an airplane headed over to Sweden at some point. How were you all feeling getting travel over there as the day approached? You were feeling you had put the work in. You're headed over there. How were the nerves? How was the feeling for the big?
It was
the
good
big
for
event?
I think us. We didn't know what to expect, and I think that's what works best for us. Going into this first year of swim run is because I mean every single start line, Sarah's like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm shitting bricks," and she's like, "Okay," and so, but that's like, oh yeah, no, it's already happening.
We're ready then.
But I got over there just probably 2 days or 3 days before the race, and did the whole stay up. But Sarah got over there like a week, so she has a totally different experience than I did. I had 2 or 3 days to kind of get used to the time zone change, but it definitely was not bad. But just felt very nervous, didn't know what was gonna happen. But with Sarah by my side, I was like, okay, we know we could do miserable. We've done it before. We can get through it. So, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I think with this race, it's such a long race, and we both had not done a running race to that length yet even. So just going into it with the mindset of we're going to be out here for an awesome day in Sweden, just having a great adventure with my best friend. I think having that mindset when we started and when we got there, it was totally the right attitude we needed to get through. And just when we got hard, we knew it was going to get hard, but we were able to then push each other and pick each other up when we really needed it. So, but the nerves on the starting line were real. Just
oh yeah,
that work.
Well, I mean, I think those nerves, and let me know if you guys co-sign on this. I mean, the way I felt about it, I mean, this year was a little bit different because you kind of already knew what to expect or whatever. But when we did it the first time, my nerves were kind of out of control. And once I started swim running, everything's fine. And then towards the end, I was like, you know what? Those nerves seemed very justified because this thing was a beast. Did you guys kind of feel that way? It's oh yeah, it was this demanded the level of nerves or respect that it was kind of drawing, your body was kind of telling you, your mind was telling you, it's oh yeah, it's a big day. This ain't no bullshit here. Do you guys feel I mean, we'll get into the race report here in a second, but at that start line, looking back on it, were you was that an appropriate level of nerves, or do you wish you would have been maybe less nervous or what?
I feel it was the appropriate amount of nerves, and I don't think my nerves truly calmed down from the start of the race until probably the second swim, when things were when I finally started to set in to the race. Our first swim, both of us, was quite rough. The waters were rough, and we also just didn't know there was going to be jellyfish.
Nobody told us nothing
at all.
Oh,
at all. Okay, no.
We had to have mentioned
you didn't listen.
Read things.
You didn't listen to our race report.
Didn't absorb any of that.
We're off the
and
hook,
we're just okay, but seeing.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was a lot. I mean, I will say that, I mean, right from the swim one, there was just jellyfish the whole time.
Okay, but when you don't know that,
they're cute though, and they don't sting you.
We didn't know.
It's true. Yeah, that would have been helpful intel for sure. So okay, let's just start the race report. So yeah, that first run, it's very interesting. Yeah. You feeling the vibes. The gun goes off. You're following the quad. You're trying to just keep your wits about you. You get to that first swim. I mean, that first swim,
epic.
Chipper was channeling his inner Melville and was like, the seas are angry today.
They were.
They were though.
They sure were.
It's self-seated start, so we're all right. So in the back we go. And we were there with like Ben and Anna, the Calamanders, who are awesome. They had an incredible race as well. We'll definitely talk about that for sure. But we were back there with them.
Sure.
A few other friendly faces, Scott and Steph, underdogs. Like they're just so like it was just we're all there. We're like, okay, we can do this. We're great. None of us could see the quad. Marcus and Beeks and Max and Hugo were all the way like in the front. We're like, we could tell that they're there because there's a part where you just get to this long path literally right before the trees to the beach, and you can see just a line of swim runners, and it's such an incredible visual because you're like, okay, we are actually starting this, and we got to I will say our transitions were very good during Worlds. Chef's kiss, honestly. So when we got to the first swim, we're like, okay, buoy, goggles, everything. We've called it out. We're like, okay, we do this thing where we go listo, and then we hop in. But we usually both for like the longer swims, we'll both look at where we're going. So I'm like, do you see the strobe? Do you see the flags? Do you see where we're going? She's like, yes. Okay, cool. I really think the flag moved because it definitely,
It couldn't have been the current or anything, but the flag was moving.
I'm just going to follow enough swim runners to get to where I can kind of see it a little better. But we were getting hit. I know Sarah behind me was like getting tangled in other people's stuff, and other people were getting tangled in our tether. Like leading it was difficult to find a clear path. I don't know which one of you guys was leading it, but it was definitely tough. And then came the random little island part stand-up thing. But yeah, so we just stayed on our stomachs because I'd remembered what Trista and Amy had told us at Swimrun NC on that last swim. You're just floating down the river, and they're like, even when you want to stand up, just stay horizontal because the river will take you and you'll travel faster if you're just floating over it. And that's essentially what we did. I was like, don't stand up. We're just going to keep floating over this, crawling. And we definitely saved a lot of time in that and energy. Also, probably many bruises. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it was definitely different for Sarah being behind me on that first swim.
Yeah, and you all had you did the little envol shakeout before, but those first few islands, when you get on them, I know, and you probably had the same experience, like everyone tells you, oh, it's crazy, it's treacherous, like, be careful. But until you actually set foot on there, then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, I understand it now, what everyone is talking about. But how were getting through those first couple islands that are just treachery?
The first couple islands were very rocky. You had to watch your step, every single step. There was lots of chances to like slip and fall. And we had just taken the advice from you guys, from other swim runners at the shakeout, from Nico. It's just, you're not going to win the race in those first two islands. And so just take it slow and go as slow or as fast as you need, to make it through with no injuries, because you still have the rest of the day to be out there. So that's kind of how we approached that. And we were moving pretty slow for the first couple islands, just enjoying the morning.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I think that advice is always well taken. And I think, it sounds like you guys were living in reality, which is good, which is just like, hey, we're just trying to survive this thing, have a great experience. Yeah. What makes it for a not so great experience? Getting fucking hurt. Right. So making sure you're super smart about that. I think that's really important. Sarah, a question for you. What type of trees were on these islands?
No.
I was just Chris.
I couldn't even get the question out. Jesus.
Every single time I was like, that's a really nice tree. I go, Sarah, would you find that one? Yeah, that one's a nice one. Sarah, should we be looking out for any trees? Oh, I mean, I hope to see this one, but I don't know if we'll see it.
Are there any Swedish indigenous trees?
To be honest, guys, I don't even remember because there was so much going on.
You blacked out from the arborist point of view.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So yeah. So back to the show. So you get through these first couple of islands. You're starting to get into your groove. You mentioned like once you got to that second swim, you remembered that you know how to swim run, and you're just going to be doing a lot of it for for the next 10 hours, 11 hours, however long it takes. At that point, tell us about sort of your mental state. You guys kind of calm down. You're like, okay, let's just keep moving forward. Like, let's enjoy this. Like, what was going on
I
once you
think
kind
we
of
just
settled
got
down
into
those initial
the kind of the
nerves?
groove of it. We knew we had gotten that. I was very glad to get the big swim out of the way. I knew that I was personally going to feel so much better once we got the pig swim out of the way. But we had the hardest cutoff for a lot of teams isn't the first one, it's the second one at 11:15, I think it is. And so we were just like, we just need to remember what everybody has told us. Just keep moving. Don't walk. Just find the beat, and just keep going. And so I think once we got through the first like 2-3 islands, we're like, okay, we are doing this. We feel good. We're still upright. Neither of us has slipped on the no fall rock zone, like Michael calls it. And we're good. Like we're doing this. And then like we had a whole like, oh shit, we're actually doing this. Sarah, are you sure we're doing this? Like, so there's multiple moments of like highs and downs the entire day. But I think once we had made that 11:15 cutoff, we're like,
yes,
okay, we actually can do this. We can finish this race. So
put some wind in your sails, I'm sure. And how was the fueling going? Through some of your long workouts, I'm sure Nico had some good nutrition fueling advice for you. How was all that? Did you take any of the water on, being all brackish and whatnot?
Not too bad. I mean, this is a shameless plug, but I use mostly Precision for the entire race, and just the gels, like eating those like candy, man. They went down. So it was really good for the first half. Sarah and I would scream. Sarah and I would scream at each other like, "Are you drinking water? Are you eating?"
You gotta be diligent on top of that stuff. I mean, Chris and I like I would pull my thing out. I would just like dangle it like, hey, like you see what I'm doing? I'm eating now. And he's like, yeah, I see it, kind of thing. And just making sure you keep up on that stuff. Cause if you're not putting enough fuel in that engine, you're going to have a tough time getting all the way to the end.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of like the, you make the second cutoff. That's, like you mentioned, that's important. That's probably one of the like the hardest one to make. Like once you can make that second cutoff, as long as you don't have some sort of catastrophic, super long walk situation, like you can finish this race. I'm sure that must have lifted your spirits. At what point, this race, as you alluded to, has ups and downs. Was there any point where Sarah, you really needed Viv to like pump you up, or vice versa? Like how was sort of like the emotions as you're going through this super long day, especially after you made that second cutoff?
I think there was a lot of highs and lows even after that second cutoff. We both had interesting days for our digestive system. So that was probably a low point of the day, which came at surprises, and we sometimes didn't know when. The hardest part of it, I think, was on Orno, where we had that really long run. We had both kind of hit a low point in running. Viv had gotten really sick, really gave the term puke and rally a new level there. And so we were both kind of at a low spot on Orno, and just, cheering each other on, like just saying one foot in front of each other, like, we got this, like, we're doing the thing, we're doing it, like one foot in front of the other, like, this is happening. We're gonna finish this thing. I think we can both tell like when each other is like feeling a little low or needs encouragement to get through whatever it is we're facing, whether it's a mental challenge or we've got like a cramp that's going on. I think we do a good job of just like being there for each other and picking each other up when we need that. And sometimes we don't even have to tell each other like, hey, this is happening. Yeah. We can just kind of tell.
You have forged a bond.
Yeah,
We are tethered together.
We are
I mean,
tethered
it's
together.
so amazing. Like, I mean, I obviously love swim run, but I'm constantly amazed by the ability when you do it as a team, like your ability to do so much more than you could individually because you're responsible for someone, you care about someone, they're trying to do the best for you, you're trying to do the best for them, and just like your ability to like overcome, it's almost like exponential, I think.
Oh, definitely. Like, I don't think I would have made it through that long run on or no, like, without Sarah. Like we started off so good. We're like, okay, you know what? We're hydrated, we're good, we're doing great. And then just like immediately, like both of us hit a wall where she was like, all right, I'm gonna go in the forest, and I was like, okay, you know what? Like I'm good, like I'm doing good. And then I was like, I'm so sorry. I just need a moment on the side of the road here. And it was Scott and Steph. This is a shout out to Steph. Steph is a walking pharmacy during swim runs. So if you ever see her, Team Underdogs, she was carrying like everything under the sun. She was like, "Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need this?" And I was like,
I'll take some
"Where are you
Imodium.
putting all of this?" Yeah, no, I this is our thing too. Is we take Imodium before and during races, just to cover all of our bases, and that wasn't even helping either of us that day either.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yikes.
so it was rough. But
Do you think that was nerve? I'm just, not.
I have no idea.
We haven't had a real poop episode in a long time, so I think
throwing it all the way back to episode 12.
We definitely can make it a poop episode if you guys want it to be, but
we're here for whatever.
I mean, did you eat something bad, or was it just nerves?
Too much fika?
Definitely not too much fika. I think it was mostly somebody said the dinner that we had the night before like didn't sit right with a lot of other athletes, so I think that might have played into it. Maybe
did you have a lot of the spinach by any chance?
No, I didn't. Did you?
Okay, no, because I'm so paranoid about that. I was like, I don't know how long this has been sitting out. It's just been properly refrigerated. The last thing I need is some pooping on Chipper. Probably also the last thing he needs, I'd say.
Yeah, no, we definitely heard some horror stories from like my parents were out on the course this year, so that was super nice. But they're like, oh yeah, there were some other swim runners who were not looking so hot, and somebody said they pooped on their partner, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, we definitely didn't do that. So,
I mean, the tether's long enough to like. It feels like that wouldn't be totally necessary. I don't know unless they're running a tight tether setup. So like we have 3 inches of tolerance.
Idea. I was like,
I'm gonna have to poop on you.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
we actually got an email from Matt. Is that,
yes, my dad.
He was like, how should we spectate this thing? And I mean, we're just honest. We're like, we don't know. We've never spectated.
We've never spectated.
But shout out to Matt.
That's awesome that your folks came out there to cheer you all on. So you had some lulls on Orna, which, to be honest, I haven't talked to anybody that hasn't had a down moment on that island that, maybe a pickle shot at the church can resurrect you like it does me. But
definitely.
Where did
it's the chocolate balls? The chocolate balls did it, man. Oh, so good.
Those were amazing. And did you? I don't know where the peach rings were, but I had those. I had like 3 or 4.
Those were good too. I don't remember either, but yes,
they were so good. We had run 100, 200 meters up, and I'm like, I might turn around to get more. Like, these were so good. I need to bring some of these on board for the rest of the journey, but I didn't do that.
They were good.
Yeah, I regretted it later.
Man. Oh man.
Yeah, just stuff them in your kangaroo top.
So when did the spirits lift? You got off Orna. That's the last big kind of hump. The pig swim, you knocked it out.
Oh yeah.
Orna, you knocked it out. And how was it feeling on those last few islands as you're getting closer to the promised land, to Uta?
Oh man. It was rough. We made that 6 o'clock cutoff, like 10 minutes, no problem. And Sarah and I were very sad to realize that we could not get water at that. We were like, we have 2 more swims. Yeah. And our flasks are very empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a I think a pretty reasonable knock on that course. It's like they could have had twice as many water stops and you could have still put more. I think, I mean, it's sort of the adventure racing style. Like you gotta just be prepared and bring your shit with you. But yeah, I totally co-sign on that. It's like I could have used twice as many even like before or after some of these big swims and runs and stuff, just during anything. I'll take anything.
Yeah, I know. Sarah was definitely a huge driving force for me finishing those 2 swims before that last aid station. Like, she was like, we can do hard things. And she was like, I could lead them, but I know that you're going to want to swim these faster than me just to get them over with.
I like that. That's like offering to pay the check when you know that the other person's definitely going to pick it up. You're like, oh, I'll take care of it this time.
Like when you go out to eat with your parents when you're like 25, you're like, oh, I'll pay for it, mom and dad, and they're like, no. You're like, okay, good.
Or you just like make like a very weak, just very like passive, like, oh, I'm just going to reach out for the check, just like, oh, I got to put in some effort, but please pick it up before I do.
I
that
was
type of situation.
She would get more cold than she already had been.
Mm.
So if you're leading, you're working a little harder. You're gonna get a higher heart rate. You're gonna.
Sarah, I also use that excuse, so it's a very, very good excuse. I don't want Chipper to get cold, man.
It was chilly. I mean, the last several swims were cold.
They were.
Yeah. They were brisk.
They were chilly. Yeah.
They were brisk.
Yeah.
Sun starts going down. I was like, we need to finish this soon.
Okay, so before we get to the finish line feels, because all the feels, right? But a couple questions. What was your favorite part of the course? What was your least favorite part of the course? What was the most surprising part of the course for you?
Oh.
So, most surprising part of the course was definitely the jellyfish. Like, hands down, it was the jellyfish. I can't think of anything else that was more surprising than that.
Fair enough.
Did they have a good variety of foliage and stuff for you?
Yeah.
Was it more so than...
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All of the trees, they were great. One of the highlights for me was definitely sitting on those swings, tethered together with Viv. She's like, we have like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that to swing. I got up to try to get some more water, and she's like, no, wait. We got like 30 more seconds.
She didn't realize that we had gotten there, and she was like filling up her water bottle, and I was like, immediately, literally just was like, just past the fuel. I was like, the swings are here. I was like, Sarah, come on. I'm pulling her. She's like trying to get water. I'm like, the swings are right there.
I love it. What about least favorite? And I think honorable mention for least favorite has to be the poop swim. So if you want to mention something else, that's fine.
It wasn't bad.
The poop swim?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
was a super, super stinky swim.
I don't know if I didn't smell anything.
Oh, well, maybe
you had a good line then.
Really good line.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
not the poop swim. So what was like the kind of the lowest part of the race for you?
Oh man, I really think it was somewhere on Orna, somewhere. No specific place. We lost a few brains.
General vicinity
Still
of this
haven't come
island.
back.
It's like when the GPS hasn't zoned in yet, so it's just like we're over here.
Yeah.
Somewhere over there. Yeah, there was. Yeah.
I'm gonna second that as the least favorite part of the race. I think just being like, oh, we're almost done. Nope, we're not there yet. We're almost done. Not there yet. We're not even close. We just started.
Yeah.
At least for the least favorite part. Yeah,
Chipper's getting PTSD. When you say that.
My eyes are twitching.
All right. How about so best part and worst part?
Okay. Worst part, definitely puking. That just never feels good. But I will say I'm very proud of Sarah and Steph and Scott for picking me up after that, because they really did literally pick me up and all right, let's go. And boot and rally. So that was probably the least favorite part because it's an awful feeling. Favorite part, okay, definitely the highlight is the swings. And I have to give a shout out to my family again. We saw them at station 6 and 16, and they were at the most crucial parts of the race without even knowing it. Like, looking back, like after, I think it was 6 was just before the poop swim, I think, because we were literally like I'm gonna say another least favorite part was like the mud and the swamp. I forget which island it
Oh
was.
yeah,
But like
like the
every
random knee deep mud. Just
Uh-huh.
like, oh, let's
it
just
was
run.
like
Oh
forgot
god,
about
it's knee
that.
deep mud.
quicksand. It was
Yeah.
quicksand. Like you literally would like we were like everybody in front of us was just piling on top of each other, like taking the mud to the face. It was. We're like, all right, we're just gonna go on the side. We see what you guys are doing. We're just gonna go around real quick. So that was rough, but no, seeing my family was probably my favorite part. Like we got to the last aid station. I could not eat anything. My mom's shoving cinnamon rolls in my mouth. And then another team came up behind us, and she was doing the exact same thing to them.
Oh man, I
And
would like to see your mom.
oh my gosh, yeah, no, they were feeding everybody, filling up water bottles. Every person that I talked to that I had mentioned that was my parents and my sister, like they're like, oh my gosh, they were godsends. Like they were pouring hot water on us, they were feeding us, they were everything. So that was probably a good highlight for them. And just every volunteer that showed up there, like they really made the race. Like we all were hitting walls at different aid stations, and they're just like, yes, and you're like, I like him, yes. So it was great. Honestly, like those aid stations are there for a reason, and those volunteers know exactly what kind of day you're having, and they're there to force feed you, fill up your water bottle, help you out, offer some advice on the swims, like or the runs that you're about to embark on. Like some of them were like, I was like, so where are we going? And they're like, okay, so you're gonna want to aim a little bit this way. Like the guy at the pig swim, he was just like, okay, the flag's this way. Not a lot of people are moving this way. And I was like, okay, so we're going to aim for this island and then probably end up right at the flag.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, I mean, that's what we're going to hope for. So, but every volunteer out there was just props to them. They were awesome. Huge, huge help.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Agreed.
And so you're on Uto, and you're running up. There's some school. There's some stuff happening around. Sun is getting.
You can hear it.
You can hear it. You look up at the hill. You're like, oh damn! They're making me go. They're doing the dump where they make you go all the way around. And I'm like, I see the shortcut alley. It could be like the salamanders and go up the shortcut.
Oh man.
Unintentional, but you go around. How are you all feeling as you crest up? And obviously, there's a big shit kicker hill there at the end. But that must have. You probably felt like $1 million at that point, or how was it going up that last hill as you approach the finish line?
I think at that point we were both very ready to be done with the race. Very excited to not be running or swimming anymore. I think there was a lot of emotions there, like just all of the emotions of the entire day just kind of hitting at one time. And going up that hill was just the final push of what the entire day was. And yeah, it was incredible. Just seeing that finish line and just like, it wasn't really a run at that point. It was just kind of a jog up the hill.
It was, let's make it up this hill alive.
But just seeing everybody there, cheering us on from the bottom of the hill, all the way up into the finish line. It was just, it was incredible. It was the best finish line yet.
Yeah, it's pretty,
Awesome.
I mean, this is pretty special. Yeah, I was going to say, like, where does this rank in terms of, like, finish line sort of experiences? But, you know, that's kind of like an obvious
No
question.
contest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely the best one.
Yeah.
I think just overwhelmed emotion and people like who we looked up to, like the winners of the races and the Swimrun adopted family, and just everybody like just being there, being like, you guys did it. We're like, we're too tired to realize it right now, so we're in tears and this is crazy, and we're just like soaking it in with each other because it's incredible. I mean, you guys know that feeling is undescribable, but once you do it, you're like, oh, wow, okay, we did it. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, the race is so interesting. I think if you're super stoked on Swimrun, the race kind of like, you know, it's so easy to put it on this crazy pedestal, right? And you're going through this journey. It's like you're doing the Kona of the sport. You're, you know, going across the islands that people have been doing for, you know, 17, 18 years or whatever. Like, did it meet what you thought your expectations were going to be? Or was it just kind of like, you know, blew it out of the water, something completely different than what you were expecting? I'm just curious, like, how did it match up with kind of like your thoughts going into it?
I think it exceeded expectations in all of the best ways, to be honest. I don't think that we really knew what we were getting into until we were there and in the race. Much like the first swim runs that we did, right? What would our first worlds be like if we didn't have white caps like we did at Orcas for our first? Kind of like our attitude for the whole day for that. And I think just having that positive attitude and mindset that we're like just out here to have so much fun to like complete this race together. It really set the tone for that finish line when we finally got there.
I'm going to second that. Yep. No expectations. And then I think each week, again, talking to people about the course, talking to you guys, like we knew roughly what we were going to encounter, but doing it and being in it, we're like, oh, okay, this is what they meant. Oh, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this slow. We're not going to get knocked out. Like, we're going to just take it slow. Okay, all right, around, okay, and then finish. And it was like no expectations going into it, but just a rough idea of like, all right, we can survive this.
It was way more beautiful than I expected. I can say that.
Yes.
It is majestic
gorgeous.
in nature.
Definitely took a lot of moments of like, just look around.
Yeah.
Just absorb it in.
Yeah. Try to remember this. Try to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clockwork Orange. The most important question, how was the breakfast the next morning? did you all partake in how many rounds of buffet breakfast?
It was great.
Oh, so many Swedish pancakes. Yep. So good. Like they were, Izzy, my sister, her boyfriend is Swedish. He makes good ones, but like these were way better than his.
I like the subtle shade throwing. They're all right.
He does okay, but like, oh man.
Do they just call them pancakes though, or they say they're Swedish too? We should ask.
Pancakes. They're Swedish pancakes. Apparently, it's what they call them too.
Okay.
It's a good question. Okay, so I guess the $1 million question. I've had a couple weeks to reflect. Obviously, a huge achievement. Congratulations. I mean, just we say it all the time. Mad respect. Just even lining up the start of that thing just takes a certain type of personality and a certain type of drive to even just show up. So congratulations on that. But now it's been a couple weeks. Are we going back? We doing this? We rolling this back, or what are you guys thinking?
I mean, so 2 weeks later, we did what any sane person would do after Worlds and do another swim run.
Not just any swim run, Orcas Island. Long course.
Oh, yes.
Run.
Probably
so
like the hardest swim run in America. Is that Chipper?
That's fair.
Without Catalina, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
It definitely ranks up there. Just because we didn't train elevation at all, really, for Worlds. It hit different this time around. I think oh man, we were sore. Like we were more sore after the Orcas than Worlds. But yes, we did Orcas with a few other repeats. Beeks and Marcus were there. I think they were the only other World people there, but other people had just done the Ironman Worlds and other feats of endurance. It was just
Nargis and Ben, I think.
Oh yeah, Nargis and Ben were
Dark
there.
Wave.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Dark Wave. Can't forget my New York girl. Yeah, she they were awesome too. So everybody I think who had done Worlds won their category. I think we were all just in the mentality of okay, we all just did something insane 2 weeks ago. So we're just gonna go balls to the wall and see what happens.
It's an interesting perspective when you think about it's hey, this is super hard, but it's only going to take half as long.
Yeah. It's like the day's half off.
Literally, we're this is actually a work day. This is doable. It's not a double shift here.
6-7 hours, no problem.
Easy.
No big deal.
We can do this in our sleep.
Yeah.
I love it. You've artfully not answered the question though.
Mm-hmm. You dodged.
Oh, yeah.
You've
okay.
evaded.
Well, yeah. So I think we're probably going back.
So we got one of the qualifying spots for
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Category at Orcas Island. So We are likely to go back to Worlds next year.
Okay, and now you know
Exciting.
half of what to expect, sort of, because it'll be different next year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always, that's the beauty of swimrun is like the course might be the same, but it's what the day is going to look like, what the weather is going to present, what the water is going to look like. Like you literally could go into, like this year, orcas, the nice calm mountain lakes were actually nice calm mountain lakes. Last year they were white caps. This year at Worlds, like even Max and Hugo, who are world champs and like have done this, they're like, this was hard. And I was like, okay, if you're saying it's hard, that makes me feel a little bit better because like this is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's super exciting. I mean, you know, we've seen this entire journey from you guys from the beginning, from when we did that you know, that Zoom call with the Traverse Fitness folks, seeing you guys do orcas, interviewing for the show back in February, and now you did the World Championship, most likely going back for another one. I mean, it's amazing. And Chipper and I, we don't feel like proud parents, but we feel like we're just so happy that you're on this journey and that, you know, you're still on it. It's great.
Aww.
Don't make me cry, guys. It's so cute.
Guys, so
Well,
much.
you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you're going to be at Austin as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see you there. And that race is not. That will not take
That
us long.
is going to be so fun. We're
It's
gonna
so much fun. Oh my God. It's the
Oh, yeah.
funnest
All gas,
Yeah.
no brakes on Austin.
couple
yeah.
of hours, you know, like shave off some hours from orcas. It'll be great.
Turn the heater on a little bit. It'll be nice and toasty.
Well, Sarah and
It's a
Viv,
good
thank you guys so much for sharing your ÖTILLÖ story with us. Again, we're so stoked for you. It was a thrill for us to share that experience with you and sort of debrief afterwards. So congratulations on an awesome race, and we'll see you in Austin in a few weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Well, a few weeks. Well,
Oh.
several weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, it's 6 weeks. I have a
Oh.
countdown.
Just enough time for another training build.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Nice and easy. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sarah does. Sarah has a countdown. Like we have our countdown in our like training app, but like Sarah actually has like multiple countdowns for these races and holidays, and it's fun.
Nice.
48 days.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's good to
Yeah.
know.
Man, yeah,
get
no. Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for pseudo adopting us and this whole community just adopting us in this last year, and it's been fun. Can't wait for
That's
more,
been
man.
great. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bring it on. All right. Thank you both so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, boys.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run,
And then a swim.
then another run,
Then another swim.
then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
Of
too.
course, yes.